Welcome to the Daily Dosage. I'm Pat Beach.
I'm John Lorge.
We're about to give you a quick NFL Week 1 preview. John, what game you want to talk about first?
We have to start with Thursday's battle between Pittsburgh and Tennessee.
Always good to start off with the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Lindell White gave the Steelers great locker room material last year when he stomped on the terrible towel. I expect James Harrison, Lawrence Timmons, and the Steelers defense to come out swinging, and I don't expect much out of the Tennessee Titans running game. Expect Pittsburgh to dominate the front seven.
Man, that actually does sound like it's going to be a pretty good game. So what do you think about this upcoming game between Atlanta and Miami? What do you think former Rookie of the Year Matt Ryan's going to do?
He's going to have pressure from both sides. Jason Taylor on one side of the ball, Joey Porter on the other. You don't know what you're going to get from Miami's defense. They blitz from everywhere. But I think that Atlanta will squeak it out.
Yeah, Atlanta usually does play good in the dome. But are we going to get to see some Wildcat? I know some people out there are interested in that.
You're definitely going to see Wildcat. Miami has Pat White. They have Ronnie Brown. And even Atlanta, you're going to see a little Norwood Turner action.
Wow, that's some pretty cool stuff. So let's talk about some of the two more interesting players in the NFL. Brandon Marshall and Chad Ochocinco. Their teams, Denver and Cincinnati, are going to be squaring off in Week 1. What are we going to see here?
I don't think we're going to see Brandon Marshall, and that's unfortunate because he's quite the talent. But we will see plenty of Ochocinco. The only question is how many balls he'll catch. He has Champ Bailey covering him.
Yeah, Champ Bailey is a lockdown guy. So who do you think is going to win this game?
Right now, I think Cincinnati Bengals will. There's too many question marks in Denver. Their quarterback's a little bit banged up. The running back situation isn't ironed out. And with only one real receiver there, you don't know what's going to happen. Cincinnati's focused, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Huh, it'd be good to see Cincinnati kind of turn things around. They've had a rough patch for a bit of a while. So let's talk about a team with a solid running game, Minnesota. They're about to battle Cleveland. What's going to happen here?
The Browns were miserable last year stopping the run, and they don't look to be much better. You know, Sean Rogers there in the middle, he's great. But aside from that, they don't have much help. So I think AP, Chester Taylor, going to give them a healthy dose. And Favre really won't have to do much to win this game.
It's probably good. Brett Favre probably needs a little bit of warm-up time. That's why I have him as my backup fantasy quarterback. Anyways, let's talk about one of the other big games this week between Philadelphia and Carolina.
Eagles loaded up on offense this offseason, and they're more explosive than ever. Jake Delhomme's turnover waiting to happen, and with Jonathan Stewart's Achilles injury, you just don't know what to expect out of Carolina. Look for the Philadelphia Eagles to roll into Carolina and take them down.
So now let's hop over to the AFC South where we have a big division game, Jacksonville and Indianapolis. What's going to go on here?
People are looking for Peyton Manning to make a Super Bowl push this year, so most people think it's going to be a blowout, the Colts. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville hangs in there. You know, David Garrard, Torrey Holt, they have some really focused guys over there, and MJD is going to be looking to make a splash. So while I'm not predicting a Jacksonville win, I think it's going to be a close game.
Huh, that's pretty interesting. So let's talk about a game that may not be too close. Detroit and New Orleans. Does Detroit even have a chance in this one?
They just named Matthew Stafford the starter, and you know we've seen rookie QBs struggle quite a bit, so I'm going to say no. I think the Saints are just going to have their way with them. Pierre Thomas might be a little banged up, might not play too much, but it's really not going to matter. Drew Brees might throw for 400 yards out there.
Yeah, Drew Brees loves to put the yards on the board. So let's get into our other big game of the week, another division rivalry between Chicago and Green Bay.
The longest rivalry in the NFL gets one game longer when Green Bay looks to knock off Chicago. Don't expect much out of Jay Cutler. He's yet to find a real rhythm with his receivers, although Greg Olsen may get in for a touchdown.
That rivalry between Green Bay and Chicago is pretty massive. But let's talk about a game between Kansas City and Baltimore. John, do you think either team is going to reach 10 points in this game?
I think Baltimore will. Baltimore's defense alone might score 10 points. They're going to be able to control the flow through the run, and Joe Flacco's improved passing. He looked great in preseason, and I really expect him to manage the game.
So what about the Jets in Houston? What are we going to see from Sanchez? Is he going to get sacked? Is he going to do good?
He might get sacked. You know, Mario Williams is always hungry to get some rookie quarterbacks. But I don't expect much out of the Jets. They're going to try and run the ball a lot. They have good defense. But ultimately, I think the Texans have a little more firepower. Look for Steve Slayton to make a few big plays, as well as Andre Johnson.
So you're predicting a Houston win there?
Yeah, I think so. It'll be close. Maybe even an overtime game.
That's pretty interesting. So let's talk about the other New York team, the Giants versus the Redskins, in another highlight game.
There's been a lot of commotion about Andre Woodson giving away New York's secrets, but I wouldn't worry about it too much if you're a Giants fan. Eli's picked up a trick or two from his brother Peyton, and he's going to know how to play with the snap count and make adjustments at the line. Expect the Giants to dominate the line of scrimmage and come out with a victory.
There's always a lot going on in the NFC West, so let's start off by talking about San Francisco and Arizona. Who's going to win in this game?
I think you have to put your money on the Cardinals. They're coming off a great season, and they actually do seem very focused. You know, Kurt Warner chose to go back to Arizona, saying no thanks to San Francisco. So I think he'll put it on them. You know, they've had that whole Crabtree fiasco out there, and I just don't think San Francisco has enough pieces to their puzzle.
What is Crabtree doing?
That's a good question. You know, he is working out. He is training. Right now, there's a chance he's just going to re-enter the draft. So he's got to figure it out. You know, he has a lot of advisors. I'm just not sure that they're the right people.
So let's talk about another team that may, have a bit of a resurgence this year. Seattle and St. Louis. Who's going to win this game?
Yeah, Seattle's looking to make one of those good to bad to good pushes, and I think they will. The Rams, they just don't have it. They're having a little trouble at receiver with some injuries, and Seattle should have a very good football season. They're going to pound the ball a little harder on the ground game, but it should be an easy win for Seattle.
John, let's also talk about another game you kind of wanted to highlight, which was between San Diego and Oakland.
Nobody loves playing the Oakland Raiders more than LaDainian Tomlinson, and it looks like Richard Seymour won't be suiting up for Week 1. Watch San Diego's Super Bowl hunt start with a decisive win over Oakland Raiders.
And let's close off Week 1 by talking about the Patriots. Tom Brady and Randy Moss are getting ready to do battle against Trent Edwards and Terrell Owens.
Despite his knee and shoulder, Tom Brady can play worry-free football against a suspect Bills defense. Don't expect Terrell Owens to have much of an impact. Mike Mayock told me that no one on the Bills' starting offensive line is even old enough to drink, and Trent Edwards is going to be running for his life.
And that's all for our Week 1 preview. John, do you have any closing thoughts?
I'm going to be watching two backs in the NFL this week, Adrian Peterson and Reggie Bush. I think AP is going to get close to the 200-yard mark, and Bush may just score 4 touchdowns.
Wow, that's some pretty bold predictions. Let's watch the week and see what happens.
Yeah, know what I'm talking about? Nigga, I'm back at you, daddy.